Hello. Hear me? Hopefully now it should be like orders of magnitude better. Just let me know if you guys can hear me now. Looks like YouTube is a bit happier. Can't see me. Oh yeah. Yeah. Looks like Okay. Let me just switch it off for a sec. And now? Hello. I really hope I'm not streaming this or I'm not. Okay. Cool. All right. That should be problem solved. Um, I'm just gonna record this on the side just to be sure in case anything should go wrong again. But yeah, starting soon. All right, so full load on the comp. Hello and welcome once again to the stream. I'll be talking about scripting for animation. The main idea being we're talking about the things that go into how you should start building up a script for either an advertisement, an explainer, or that kind of video. Uh, Specifically videos that are less than 7 minutes, yeah, and that are looking to do one specific thing. Either it's to sell a product or to build awareness or just to send a specific message. So that's the goal today. The goal is mainly to build this, to show you the structure that you can use to build these ideas, and then you should be able to build better scripts going forward. If not, sorry for wasting your time, I guess. If you guys can still hear me, let me get a quick shout out in the chat before I start getting into this stuff and still can't hear me. We good? Hello, welcome. Okay, not bad, not bad. Uh, I guess there's like a bit of a delay. All right. If you can hear me clearly, I'm gonna assume you can. I'll proceed with the presentation. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Very good. Okay. Let's go to picture in picture. Yes. So you can still see me. At least this time I'm a floating head. So not just a weird voice in the void. So let's go. I also like using my hands, so and wouldn't be using too many softwares this time. So yeah, here we go. So scripting for short animations. What does this apply to? Short videos, as I said, less than 7 minutes. I'm gonna explain why it only applies to short videos soon. And it applies to explainers, advertisements, social media posts, general content that's just less than 7 minutes. Yeah. So just a quick disclaimer: this is just a workflow. This is just the way I process these ideas, the way I come up with this stuff. So it's not really set in stone. So just take the stuff I'm saying and use it in your own way. Tweak it, adjust it, say the parts that don't make sense, maybe study those specifically and see where it's going. But don't really think that this is the only way to do anything, but it's definitely maybe slightly better than guesswork. So the first question we need to ask when we're faced with writing a script is, what do we have to work with? Mainly in terms of everything, as we need to get as much information as we can. Because honestly, we could do all sorts of things, we could work on all sorts of ideas, but really, what we want to do is not just write a script that's super awesome. We also need to meet some goals. And as the client is coming to you, they're coming to you for a specific reason. They want you to communicate a specific idea. They've set aside a certain amount of money to do it. So that's going to scale the project up or down. It's going to change who is involved, how long you have to iterate on different things. All these obvious business related things. Um, so think about that. The first thing straight up we need to think about is, what do we have to work with? By the time you're sitting down to write the script, you probably already have an idea of the budget. And in these terms, we mean our budget for our creative budget, so to speak. So we'll have 4 points, which is the time available, the budget, the client expectation, and the delivery format. Um, so time available is basically, I need this thing tomorrow, I need this thing next month. We have 3 months to work on this thing. We have 2 years. That's what the time available is. And also time available between now and the next deadline. Because as much as we can say we have 2 years to work on this project, we might have to have a script ready by tomorrow, so that the director and such things can get involved, or we need to have a first draft by, all sorts of things happen. So the time available is really also breaking it down to, when is our next deadline? How many chances do we have to make changes? Who needs to see it when? Because especially who needs to see it when? Because stuff like CEO is only around on the first week of April. They're super busy, they can't see your stuff. So we need to make sure the script has already gone through 2 rounds of feedback by the time that's happening. So now we need to start planning everything backwards. So it ends up being that your scripting time is like way less. In fact, it might be, yeah. So that's why I was saying we're working overnight tonight, as much as the project is 2 years or something. Then next is the budget, how much money they've set aside for what you're doing. Expectation is what they want, what they've seen, what they're seeing in their heads of what the final product is going to be. There's bound to be some idea they had. I'll get to that a bit later. But they must have had some idea when they approached you. So you need to make sure you're very clear on what that is. And finally, delivery format. And that's whether it's... So time available. When is the deadline? That's mainly when does this project need to be completed, and when is it going to be done? We have the budget. Budget is mainly going to determine the resources that are available and whether you can even outsource them. So that's stuff like voiceover. Can you afford a professional, or is it just going to be me sitting here with my mic and doing it myself? Do we need to get additional animators? Since we already know the timeline, we only have a very short time to do this. Maybe we need additional animators. And if not, then, and I'm working on it alone, or you're working on it alone, then you can start to figure out how simple the script will have to be to make it achievable. So if you need to get a camera crew to shoot stuff, they might need equipment. You might need to translate scripts. Say you have subtitles in your show, and some sections are in French, or these guys want to go and present it in France, you're gonna have to consider that. Oops, I need to mute this. Not mute it, but throw it across the room. Yeah, throw it across the room. So you'll need someone to translate, essentially, and that's gonna cost some money. Not all your cash, but it's definitely going to cost you something to do that, and you have to account for it. Yeah. So expectations, to manage expectations and to really understand what expectations they have for you, you want to look at references, and you want to ask them for references to send you as much reference as possible. If they've already figured out the idea, let them send what those ideas are. The main goal here is to get a really good picture of what they're expecting at the end of the day. And that's in terms of how much for how much they're spending, for the time they've given available. Is the expectation right? Can we actually achieve what they're asking for, or is this going to now, going to be another level? We need to now start discussing different things. So it's better to be clear about this early before you even start writing anything. You guys have already agreed on the direction you're going to go, on what they like, what they don't like, especially what they don't like. And as I said before, delivery format, where is this going? Is this going on YouTube? Is it going to be an Instagram story? Is it going to be on a feed? All these are going to determine things like when different things happen. It's going to affect whether you have a voiceover or music or not. And if you know the delivery format, you don't need music, then it means now you can have some cash to pay for an additional animator or something. Sort of balancing everything and trying to see where things work. Um, there's a small chance. I hope the stream is going okay. Does anyone have any questions so far regarding the creative budget? Okay, seems my screen needs to stay on, because Samsung will throttle this thing. Yeah. Hope the stream is going okay. You can still hear me, still see me. Um, it's really hard to look at a camera when there is a copy of you just doing what you're doing on the other side of the room. I'll take that as a yes and hope for the best. So let's move on to the next stage, which is gathering information. You've already gathered information, I'm sure you're saying that, but actually, what you've just done is you figured out what your budget is. You figured out what you can do, and how much time you have to do it. Now you need to gather. When does broadcasting and a YouTube when does broadcasting and a YouTube change the budget? Okay, I'll answer that a bit later, I think. So gathering information, the more you write down, the better. Mainly for just try, and from this point forward, try and write down as much as you can. Any loose ideas, any sketches you can do, any scribbles you'd be thinking about. Just do that on a piece of paper. I have this notebook. Whoops, twice. Whoops times two. I have this notebook I got from Miniso. It's really cool. It's 100. Is this 100 pages or 90 pages? I think it's 90 pages. I'm not sure, but it's really fat. It has a lot of pages, and the pages are blank, so you can draw stuff. Here's some sketches I do for. Oh wait, haha. This is why we have this. Yes, we have drawings of different weird things and ideas of shoes. You just get bored, you can just scribble stuff, do like a head or bust or something. Uh, yeah, these are really nice. So you want to do this with oh wait, there's a nice table I had drawn somewhere here. I also have recipes in here. It's pretty crazy. Just write down all the weird things that are crossing your mind as the project is going along, because you forget sometimes. You have a spur of the moment idea that's really nice, and although at the moment it's not very useful, you can still maybe catch up with it later. Maybe you've had some time to brew on other ideas and stuff. You might be able to see it and think, oh, you know what? Now that we're doing it this way, I might be able to spin this in a way that works for me. And doing this spinning thing is something you'll do quite a bit. All right. Back to picture in picture and on to the next one. So, the next stage is to collaborate and make sure you're working really closely with your client and also closely with yourself, making sure that as you're doing your project breakdown, as you're doing your creative input, as you're helping them with stuff and you're figuring out your timelines, you're also doing your own thinking, and you're also sometimes, it's not too bad to ask the client for ideas and for help on how you're going to complete the project, because remember, at the end of the day, they have an expectation. There's no such thing as just do anything, because I think just do anything is more someone saying, I don't really know what I want, but if you show me something, I'll be able to give you feedback. And that's how they bring it out. But ideally, you want to try and bring out as much out of their heads into yours as you can. One of those things one of the ideas I like to use is talking points. Talking points are, you just tell them, just give me a list of talking points, which is all the things that absolutely have to be said. No jokes, no, okay, maybe a catchphrase here or there, but at the end of the day, what does this video have to say? And I'll give some examples of talking points next. You also need to get branding essentials, their brand colors, if how their website looks. Just take a look. Maybe you need to integrate it there. Take a look at other videos they've done. See the ideas that are being pushed. Maybe they're aggressive, like Old Spice. The Terry Crews stuff they had was pretty aggressive and crazy. Or maybe something a little more chilled out, like the Johnny Walker ads with Jude Law, which are just him on a boat drinking Johnny Walker. So it really depends on what kind of ideas they have going. Sometimes they like to have some sort of consistency between the videos. Other guys will say, you just do your thing. We came to you for your style, so you just do what you do. So just be clear about which one of those two it is, and make sure as you're going in to write the script and to do anything, you know exactly what those things are. A company ideology as well. We're wacky people. We're crazy guys. Uh, but most importantly, the references, duration, and flexibility is how long is the video, and does it have to be that long? In the sense of, you guys are asking for a 10-minute video, but the stuff you want to talk about is only for a 2-minute video, and I don't really see why we need to try and force this idea to be longer. So try and figure out if the duration is flexible. If it's TV, for example, it's going to be a very, very exact duration. Even social media ads these days, they really want to be to the frame. You'll be told 1:59:24 is 23 is what this video is supposed to be when you finally send it. Or otherwise it's gonna be squeezed and compressed, and the rest is on you. Yeah, so next up, voiceover as well. As we'd said before, do they need a voiceover? If it's going to be in there, they need to approve it. Give them some clips, get some stuff from a close friend, or, okay, not a close friend, from your voice people. Get some samples, send them through to them, and get an idea of the voice they like. It's good to pick that out a bit early, because you can write in the person's voice, or maybe they pick a lady, and then your script will have to be based on a lady who's speaking, obviously. Yeah. So let's go to the next thing, which is talking points. So I have this fictional company. It's called Monkey Shades. This is their logo, just pilfered from FreePic. And I've asked them for talking points. So they've said, okay, we want to develop this video, and we're thinking our shades, we're thinking we really need to show people that our shades protect from UV. They are very durable and can last for many years. They are made here locally. The first 1,000 customers will get to choose a free set of frames while stocks last, and it's going to start from December 2021. So that's when they're launching. So that's cool. These are the things the video has to say. If you watch the video and you had to make a list of all the things it talked about, aside from the jokes and all the things, this is what the list would look like, at least. I mean, there's probably other things you can throw in, but at the very least, this is the kind of ideas the video has to push. So once you have this list, it becomes just a bit easier to start writing. Another thing you can do is to analyze the reference and really understand exactly what they like about the reference. Different people like different things. You can put an apple on a table and light it and take a photo. Someone will say they like it because they just like pictures of apples. Someone will like it because of the lighting. Someone will like it because of the camera used. So if they're giving you the reference and just showing you a picture of an apple, you need to understand why they like that picture. Is it the lighting? Is it the apple itself? Is it the copy? Is it just maybe something that's written on the screen? Know exactly what it is about each reference, and I say each because it's individual. Sometimes you can have someone send you a video and just say, I just like the logo at the beginning, the way it just spins around. And that's it. But they won't just say that. They'll just send the video and say, have a look at this for inspiration. Now, it's not really sabotage or anything. I'm just saying sometimes people can struggle to communicate what they're trying to say, especially if they're not aware that some miscommunication like this can happen. It's on you to make sure that you really understand what they like about different things. Sometimes a video is nice to them because it just has a voiceover. So here's another example of a video this client has sent, Monkey Shades. They just went on YouTube and got a random clip and said, here's a video I really like. Here's something you can emulate. It's called Shady Ray's Adventure Video. The coolest part about it is apparently the stream is probably taking all the bandwidth. Okay, there we go. This guy looks like a famous guy, but it's not who it looks like. So they sent this video showing this guy on a CGI background with shades and stuff. So what do you like about it? That's what you have to ask. Is it the wackiness about it? Is it that there's a celebrity? Is it the CGI, the way the camera seems to be fake? What exactly about it is really cool? And then you might find out this is what they like. They just like the overlays, the way there's just stuff popping out of nowhere and jumping on top of the guy. The more you know about exactly what they like about a reference, the better off you can be when it comes to producing what you're producing. Yeah, so it's a pretty strange ad. I don't want to play the whole thing because copyright and such. I don't want this taken down. There's another one here which is a product video for glasses, and it's essentially just glasses showing one after the other. It's a montage of different glasses, and it's a whole other way of presenting this idea of shades. So yeah, it's just shade glasses spinning around. But now we're gonna ask them, okay, why did you send this reference? There's not really any idea about variety or such in your video, in the brief that you gave me just a few minutes ago. And here it's where you want to clear up, or rather here's where they'll clear up and say, oh no, actually what I meant to say was we don't want this. We don't want just shades and words popping out on the screen. We want something interesting going on and something cool. And the vaguest of all, something cool. Cool is so cool is anything. This could be cool to someone, but now we need to narrow down exactly what that cool is. So yeah, That's that ad. And finally, there is still another source of reference we have, which is ourselves. When these guys came to us, there's probably a job of ours they saw that they liked. Probably they like our style, they like the ideas we have. Figure out what it is. Ask them straight up which video I did you like? What do you guys think of the last project we did? What do you guys think we should do in this project that you've seen in something I've done before? Try and also think for yourself, what do you want to try? What new ideas do you have? What new animation style, what new tricks have you learned that you really want to try out for this project? This is your chance to now just put it down on paper. Like I said, with a really weird book, just write down all those things, put arrows and stuff to show how an animation would work. Even draw keyframes if you have to. Like, some of those things I actually do, and it helps, because when you do it on paper, the only thing it's costing you is the paper itself and a pen and just a bit of time. Whereas trying to figure out these ideas in the software as you're also trying to script at the same time can get pretty messy, and it's gonna cost more and more time as time goes by. So yeah, pen and paper is where it's at. Now that you have all this stuff, you have your reference, you have your clients' limitations, restrictions, ideas, you also have the stuff you want to do. Now you want to bring all that stuff together and try and make it work. Remember, we also have to balance the voiceover, the budget, the ideas going into all these things. So now that we know all that stuff, we can start writing. So start writing. Do it. Open Microsoft Word and sit there in front of a blank page, trying to think of where to go. While simulating writer's block, do you guys have any questions? Now would be a good time to ask. Well, it says excellent. Oh, and I can have a drink. Oh, Dennis had a question. When does broadcasting and a YouTube video affect the budget? When does broadcasting and YouTube affect the budget? I don't think it would affect the budget in terms of production or of producing the video, but I do think how will that affect? You can get away with some things on YouTube that you can't on TV. So maybe that would just be a consideration to think of in terms of the ideas that you're allowed to execute. Not necessarily tying directly to the budget. Yeah. All right. I guess that's the question I'll take for now. Let's move on to how we're gonna kill this writer's block. Yeah, what are we gonna do, guys? We can't just copy paste the other video we just watched. I mean, the thing about when you're thinking about this stuff is you're just gonna default and try to do what you've seen, either in the recent past or the reference they've just shown you. Sometimes that's not too bad, but in the long run, as things are going along, you start to get more and more ideas and start to think of all the things you could have done or should have done. Especially with a book and writing things down, this is now where we take advantage of all the information we've gathered and the stuff we've written down, the ideas we've written down to okay, and all the stuff you've written down to help with breaking this creative block. And Dennis has asked an interesting question. What do you do when a client doesn't have an idea or reference? You just have to talk it out of them and figure it out. Like, if it even means a meeting, sitting with them with a laptop and you guys browse YouTube for like 10 minutes, just do that, because you really don't want to go in blind. They must have had an idea. Like, before I sat and said, okay, let me call Dennis and tell him to make for me an animation. Like, what? Like, they must have some idea deep in there, and it's your job also, like technically speaking, it's actually your job to now try and get it out of them and try and help them refine it. And the main reason I'm saying this is because even if you make whatever you make and send it to them, they're gonna have opinions. Oh no, I don't like this color. I think this is too bright. This is too dark. You should have used a view of a guy instead of a chick. You start to see all these things come out. So in that 10-minute meeting when you're on YouTube, you want to now start thinking about these questions you'll be asking. Ask them what they like, what colors they like, and really also explain to them the importance of this step, the importance of making sure you get it right now, as opposed to trying to do all these things later. So, use information you've gathered to scrap something together. This would be in a brainstorm. If you have guys in your office or guys in the room that you can talk to and brainstorm, give them an idea of what your list is, your list of talking points, and show it to them and show it to your friends and just try and see how they feel about all these different things. Um, there's this book about writing. I think it's David Mamet. I'll need to double check. But he talks about how it's John Truby. He talks about how when you tell someone an idea, there's the first thing that pops into their heads, and there's those scenes and stuff that pops into their heads. Like if I told you, imagine a story of this guy who's in Naivasha, and he's accidentally crashed. His car has broken down on that Maimahi road, like the really windy road that's dark and all that. And it turns out on the night he does this is also the night like ghosts awaken and walk on the roads. So I'm gonna stop there, and immediately there's some ideas that start popping into your head. You're already seeing a scene of him coming out of the car and seeing the ghost. You're already seeing the ideas of him having to come to terms with his fear, fixing the car quickly and trying to get it out of that situation. All these things, all these things are ideas you can write and ideas you can bounce off of. So I'll tell people about your story and try and get these scene ideas that are popping into their heads. So Monkey Shades, there's this company that just does shades. They're starting their business in December. And they're selling for the first 1,000 people. They're giving them free sets. So what do you think? Well, okay, that sounds pretty cool. I guess it's a local company. So just that question. If they ask you that, it's okay. That must be important. A local company. Maybe I should have said that in the initial pitch. That already is now starting to develop the idea, and you're starting to iterate and build and make it better. So brainstorm and do what I call a fast run, which is try and write a script that just straight up turns the 5 talking points into, or whatever number of talking points. Try and just turn it into words, into paragraphs, into sentences. Go crazy. Write all sorts of nuts things like the safest place is your face unless you're getting punched. I don't know. For your glasses, the safest place for your glasses is your face unless you're getting punched. Okay, that's pretty lame. But maybe there's something about getting punched and your glasses breaking. Maybe there's some idea there we can jump off of. But you just write it down and then you just keep going. Starting December 2021. Hey, Christmasy, mzea, Christmasy, get some glasses, Christmasy, bruh. Like just go nuts. Just put all that stuff down, and try and flesh out all the ideas you have. Look at the scenes you've gotten from all your friends and stuff, and try and build things out of that. And if you can build scenes for the individual points, it can be helpful, because then you can try and string them together later. Or even better, you can try and combine them together and just see how they mesh. Oops, did I click something wrong? Yeah, so this was actually what David Mamet was talking about, which is just tell the story. Translate your storytelling to the screen. Um, in his book on directing film, he talks about how sometimes you can just turn how someone is telling the story into shots and into shots in a scene. So let's take an example would be like the establishing scene in a movie. If you were telling the story of, say, let's tell a random story. We've told about the guy named Basha. Let's say, what kind of story we got? Hmm. Okay, someone goes to a shop and they buy airtime. So now, just picture yourself telling someone that story. So go through the motions. Yeah, 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 that's dope, that's dope. Yeah, in fact, last weekend I was in Westy and I saw this dude just walk up to an M-Pesa guy and throw money at him and tell him, "Bruh, tupa this on my phone." And yeah, like it was really crazy. Like everyone around him is like looking around, like, what the hell is going on? What's wrong with this guy? And yeah, and you know, panic and whatever ensued. But now the way you've told the story can now be broken up into those shots. So last weekend I was in Westy. Let's just say that's an establishing shot of Westlands, and then some small text down there written last weekend. uh some guy just showed up at an M-Pesa place. So I've kind of just surprised the idea of the M-Pesa guy showing up as I was telling the story. That was intentional, I suppose, on my part, to just show you that this guy just came out of nowhere. So let's do that as well. Let's just do a shot of the window and a guy just jumping in and appearing and doing the thing of throwing the money. Like pretty much what I said. All those become shots. And once you have all these shots written down, or once you have the way you told the story just becomes the way you show the shots. People were looking around, wondering, is this guy crazy? That's your opportunity to now zoom out and show properly where the M-Pesa shop is, show that there's now people around, show their reactions in their faces. It's kind of like, yeah, David Mamet says that basically the way we tell stories is also how we direct. We're already directing how we're telling the story in order to make it as interesting as possible. So build off of that and try and use that to write and to make stuff for film. The other thing is also that the first thing you ever do, the first idea you come up with, is probably the worst version of it. You're gonna iterate on top of it. So I'm not saying that you tell the story and the shots you come up with are now set. It's just the same thing we're doing here. It's giving us a base to start from. We build up upon it based on different things, the same things, the talking points, the budget, and all those fancy things. So let's talk about story devices, which is different ways that you can tell your story. Um, there is a bunch of different styles and techniques you can use of animating in itself, but let's take a step back and talk about just how we tell the story in itself. And there's a whole bunch of ways. This is just a short list. I think there's more. There's probably some that are the same, but let's just go through them and see how they all relate to each other, or how they all work. So first is slice of life, which is we take a day out of the life of someone. This is Jack. He's going home. This is Jack, and he can't go a day without his shades. Outdoors, indoors, in the garage, at his wedding. Dude just always has his shades on. But what's going on? He's rocking monkey shades. And then now we can now start. The monkey shades were established, and we're going to start selling the shades. Slice of life is basically going to take a day in the life of someone, or a moment in someone's life. Today is the day that John is going to do this. Um, Mary is going to a specific place. She needs to prepare. We're just taking a moment out of someone's life and trying to explain either how our product is helping or how our product just relates to that situation. Then we have comparisons. This can happen like product comparisons. Kevin bought Kawaida shades from this guy on the road. Kelvin has monkey shades. We can split the screen in two and show the two guys on either side. Kevo Manze sat on his shades and had to get another set in the first month. You show the guy sitting on his shades. Both they broke. Idiot. Kelvo Manze, his shades are still sour. We just show a nice pic of him just chilling, like even like Rhino charge or something. Like in a really intense event, he still has his shades, whereas this guy was just sitting down and he broke them. So we're just doing a comparison between two situations or two people. Then we have conversation, which is what you'd hear a lot on radio, which is just two people talking. This also works nicely with NGO stuff sometimes. Not NGO, but explainers sort of things. Conversation is really nice. Hey, have you heard of this new company? Yeah, what are they called? They're called Monkey Shades. Um, Another one is yeah. As much as it's just two people talking, you can also throw graphics and stuff on top. So if you have like two bros talking, hey bruh, I messed up my sheds again. Ah, yo, saw manze. And then he's over there, and again, same guy, cocky pose, monkey shades, bruh. Man, I'm gonna watch this like a few years from now and be like, what the hell was I doing? But it's okay. I hope you guys get what I'm talking about. Um, it's a bit silly, but as you just go through it, it's just developing. Everything is just ridiculous at first. Next, narration. Someone is either narrating the situation or narrating something that happened to them. That can be a bit of slice of life as well, but uh, yes. Yes, comparison ads. Yeah, that can also be. Dennis's comparison ads can be like Airtel targeting Safaricom and doing straight up this versus this, which is better. That's one. Also, just your life with us, your life without us. That's also another type of comparison you can make. So narration is just straight up talking. I have bought more shades than I can remember. Check this guy about to drop them in a mat. Yeah, I don't even notice for another hour. Yeah, it's basically a guy just saying about how he dropped his shades in a mat and he's narrating as it's happening. This can be good. It gives a perspective sort of thing and makes things a bit personal. So you'll also have to word things that way. So again, depending on the talking points, the company ideas, the branding style, and all that, you want to build, you want to choose out of all these. So pitch. Pitch is a guy literally pitching it to you. It's like me. I've sat down with you and you're telling me, bro, sell this thing to me in like 2 seconds. Let's go. All right. Monkey shades are just shades. They're UV protecting and they are physically protecting, which means they're really strong. And that's just in shades. A new set every month. Grab your first set this December 2021. The first 1,000 customers get. It's just like straight up just talking and telling you what's happening. Next is satire. Hey, are you a monkey? You don't have to be to rock monkey shades, climb trees, eat bananas, throw rocks, do whatever you want. We don't care. Just get monkey shades and they'll live longer than you. Um, so yeah, it's just jokey, funny, play on words, just trying to stay interesting. Okay, no. I think it can be pretty cool if you can do some satire, some jokes, reference people, reference what's happening in the world. That can be really cool. Then we have a walkthrough, which is applicable to more longer videos where we're just going to straight up have something like a really good VO guy just straight up. Monkey Shades started in 1985 with the objective to provide quality shades to the boys and girls. We're offering this December to give you 1,000 shades for, just straight up someone talking. It's the same as narration, I think, but this time we're just walking you through it as if we're starting from the beginning and then we're going somewhere. I guess walkthrough and narration are the same, but narration was more of being personal, whereas walkthrough was just someone explaining everything one time. Wait, that's pitch. Huh. Okay, so next, montage. Montage is like what we had with the glasses ad that I showed. It's just a picture, a video of a man walking on the street. He puts on his shades. The sun grows brighter and blinds him. Then we show a title on the screen. Wish he had monkey shades. And then more stuff happens. Here we're now more focused on putting ideas based on shots after shots. This is actually more storytelling. What I meant to say was all these stuff are like different characters, different people with different shades, just all these different things happening in different locations, and then we're just stringing them together to try and tell some kind of story. So those are the story devices. Once we figured out the device, we also need to think about the pacing and the structure. This is how fast we're going. The pacing is basically the rhythm of the video that we're going to produce. So we also need to think of that as we're writing. So generally, we want our video to go like this. We want to start on a high. We want to bring it down to do the explaining and such things, and then we want to it comes up. Oops, it comes up on this side, um, because of maybe tell a quick joke. I'm gonna explain it. It's just a break essentially, and then at the end we want to end on a high, which is going to be the finale, and then the final low comes from contact information and endboard stuff. So we have two peaks, and one optional one. um, and this is how I'd break it down. We have the introduction, the explanation section, the break, the call to action, and the logos and contact information. The break is going to be where that second spike is, although they're not really lining up. The break should be there. The explanation bars should be split. Um, so here's a quick breakdown of each section. I'll try to go through fast so that this doesn't get too dense or complicated. So the intro is where you want to set up your joke, you want to call for attention. It's those 5 seconds you have on a YouTube video. You want to start getting the person's attention and giving them an idea of what to expect. Introduce your characters. You want to minimize the talking points. Maybe if you have a lot of talking points to give, you want to put one or two of them in here, but you want to keep it subtle. I'd say just minimize them, minimal to none. Just get the main goal of the intro is to get their attention. So remember the scripts you looked back up there. The scripts you talked about, the intros would be the guy putting on the shades, or the guy saying, "Hey, what's up?" Just that really quick establishing that when the guy says, "Hey, what's up?" and then his friend answers, "Hey, niaje," and then the conversation starts. Just that the two of them just greeting each other to establish that it's two characters is what the intro is. And then we go into the explanation. The first thing we want to do, we now have your attention. So you want to dump all your talking points into this first segment. You want to start giving them the main point they need to take away, and try and mish and mash them together so that the story still flows, but at the same time you're giving out as many talking points as possible. It's really tricky to do. Just practice, and yeah, you learn how to do it. Then you can take a break. The break is important as if you were doing a joke, if you had started with a joke, you can call back to that joke. It's just to give a breather in between everything that's been happening. I particularly like the break because it's a chance for you to change the music. You could have been doing this really rushed thing happening, this really exciting thing, and then you just stop and say, "Hold up, but what about this, that," and then now you go back into giving more talking points. Just give your viewer not just time to breathe, but also, or rather, this is just time to process all the stuff they've seen so far, and also just kind of prepare them for the next segment that's coming, which is more explanation and more talking points. But this time, since we've gotten rid of most of them, we've dumped most of them in the first segment, this second point is now just trying to give the last few bits that are going to fill up the information. And also, we're trying to escalate to a finale. We're trying to deliver a punchline. If this was a joke, this is now what we've been building up to. If this is a speech, if he's gaining momentum and such things, he's taken a break and he's come back. Think about like Braveheart. Oh, they'll not take our land in Nini, and then he'll take a break. And in the land we shall fight for free. There's like an escalation that comes, but just before that escalation, there's usually a break. So that break is going to give your viewer just a little bit of time to anticipate what's going to come next, and also give you a chance to deliver that final punchline. Hope that makes sense. I hope. I really hope I won't regret this. I'm seeing the mirror and I'm like, ha. All right. Apparently my pop-ups are showing. Let's Let me close this real quick. Yeah. All right. So after explanation, we have call to action. This is now what we're going to tell you to do. Hey, click on this link to get ABCD. Hey, go to this to see what's going on. Hey, this is basically just going to give people what to do next. Tell them what's happening. What was the intent of the video? It was for you guys to subscribe. So now you're telling them subscribe, click here, go here, do all this stuff. You're gonna do that at the end, because at the end is where you're going to give them now your final title. You're going to give them your logo. You're going to put the link that's going to go to what they need to do. So always make sure you have a call to action at the end. Okay. Make sure you have something for them at the end. So I've seen a question, but I'll get to it in a sec. So once you've understood this general structure, once you've taken notes, you've done your brainstorming, you can now try and break everything up and try and figure out what goes where, what goes into the intro, what goes into the explanation. Try and just spread as much info as you can. And the main idea here is this note down here, which says there's still a lot of time left. When you do it this way and you have a 2-minute video to do, doing it this way makes it clearer if you have enough time to tell the story that you're trying to tell, or to get to the end, or if even what you have so far is going to reach those 5 or 10 minutes that you have to work with. So yeah, again, we're just continuously breaking things down, taking what we've been thinking about, improving it, slotting it in. Does it work? No, it doesn't. Remove it, mix it around and see what works. But like we said, since you've already gotten the reference, you should already have a clear picture of where you're going and what story method you're going to use, and so on. So before I get into remember the visuals, don't worry, it's pretty short. There's a question, does this apply to conclusive short stories as well? Oh, wait, let me answer that at the end, since I'm almost done. Remember the visuals, some things you can show without telling. Remember that you're doing an animation. You don't have to say everything. There's an opportunity to connect the voice and the visuals. So you can say stuff like, here's an example of someone in trouble, and the animation just shows that happening. The voice doesn't have to say it. And if you keep that in mind, you can also make things longer and make things shorter. In the sense of, let's say I've given an example of something. I need to, or rather, we have a chart of UV protection shades and we need to show it to the viewer. I could use the visual as an opportunity to extend that section. So if I was going to say, okay, look at this graph, I can pause, let the graph animate and appear, and we see all the numbers. Okay, and here's how it was in 2005. And then that also comes on screen. So you have now time to now start expanding and fill some time in the animation you need to fill up. And also, also some space to make things interesting. And you also need to think of how you can shorten. So in a place where you'd say, instead of saying, look at this, in 2005, the numbers were low, in 2006, the numbers were higher. Instead of having to say it directly, we can just say, look at this graph, and you can see that things have improved over the years, and it's done. You've killed the stone of showing that stuff and the stone of saying that things have improved. But if they really needed you to get into the specifics, then that's when now you can use it to expand. So here's an example. Look at a family like this one. Can you spot the difference between these images? Here's Kevo, here's Calvin. When you're saying those things, there really needs to be a visual to go with it. So think about sentences that work like that as well. Try and combine similar content, similar ideas. If you're explaining the situation in Africa, just explain it all at the beginning. You don't have to explain it again later. Sort of like how you'd say, in Africa, only 2% of people are getting sufficient nutrition. Um, and then now you go and start saying our app will help you to do this. And then you go back in Congo, there are 2% of this is going back and forth is not only confusing but kind of inefficient, because for the person who was animating, if you put Africa and Congo next to each other, it would be better for him to do an animation of the Africa and the start you've just said. And then now when you mention Congo, the Africa can zoom in, or the Congo can be highlighted, and then we get the number inside. So that also helps for someone who's doing the animation, if it's not you, to be able to transition, and also for the viewer to be able to just keep track of what's happening. What was that start again about Congo? Okay, let me just go back to the beginning, because that's where they were talking about it. And remember, it's the same thing. If you were telling someone the story, you'd probably try and get all that stuff together. You're trying to give them the backstory before you get into the app. So you'd really go, okay, Africa is this and Congo is this. So there's this thing my app is doing in Unis. You remember the thing I was telling you? Yeah. So it's more, yeah, it's more like a callback as opposed to new information. Then yeah, think about transitions. Have like a storyboard running in your head as you're writing your script. Think about how the scenes are going to connect to one another. I'm sure you've seen these animations where you see like a ball falls into the screen, and it's sort of always there in the animation in one way or another. This is where that sort of idea needs to start from. You need to start thinking about how all that stuff is going to flow. And the same thing, if you keep similar information together and have a reasonable flow, a reasonable pace, then it becomes easier also to now start filling in these high concept ideas. So also, final thing is say, is it final thing? Try and say as little as possible. Keep your dialogue as short as possible. Hey, Niaje, so there's this time I was thinking about, just go straight into what they need to say. Assume the people who are talking are the best at grammar, the most eloquent people. They don't stammer, they don't have to think about what they're saying. What they're saying is the best version of what they could have said. You know, like when you talk to someone and then you're like, okay, maybe I should have said the sentence a certain way, or you're driving home and you're like, I should have said this. No, with these people in your ad or in your script, what they say is the perfect version of what they could have said for their character. And that's really important. So try and also keep that as little as possible, because you also don't want your person absorbing too much. And yeah, so I made some example scripts, which will be in this presentation, which I'm going to link in the group. So if you're a member of the Telegram group, you'll get to see this stuff. Just a few ideas I wrote of how you would write them in different styles. We have the narrative style, the just straight up talking about what's going on, and the long one, like if we're gonna do like a 2 minute thing or something, what kind of script would we be looking at? The main things to take away from most of these, I don't want to read through them. I think that might take too long. But the main thing to look at, like with this first case study here, is it's just conversational. It's just and giving an opportunity for maybe the music to change or for someone to react. Oh no. And for someone to react. Here we have another one which is just a little bit shorter. The wording is reordered a bit, but it's generally the same idea. Starting with monkey shades are locally made, fashionable, durable, affordable. Like the idea is to have someone just continuously talking. I thought I closed this. I guess not. Have someone continuously talking and just giving the information. And then this is a really long one. You can explore some ideas like 4,000 hours, 12 crewmen, 6 tons of plastic, 12 tons of metal, and lots of love. That's what it takes to bring Monkey Shades to you. So that was the intro. That was now to get your attention. Now let's start dumping the info. We're a local company developing strong, durable frames, UV protective glasses starting December 2021. So we're really giving all the info in the first go. Then later on, our break is we guarantee that you'll be satisfied with the product, which is this line I'm blocking over here. Um, our hardworking crew, this is just now giving more information, more information. And then we finally end with Monkey Shades. See you soon. That's now what would happen at the end when it dips down again. So yeah, fill in the gaps. As you work on this stuff, record yourself, record your own VO, see how long it is. Don't forget to add some breaks in between. You don't have to read everything at once. Add some pauses for transitions. Look at your list and look at the ideas, those crazy things you were writing like 2 weeks ago. Scroll back to scroll a book. Uh, go back to the pages of stuff you were writing like 2 weeks ago, a month ago. See the ideas you were having. Maybe now that things have changed, you have better stuff to work with. Go back to the brainstorming ideas. There's probably stuff you threw out. Go back to them and see maybe there's something you can reuse to work for your video. And yeah, finally, study what's out there. Make a mental library. All these things about story devices. Go watch an animation. Ask yourself, what story device have they used, and how can I use this? And the main thing about doing that is if you're breaking it, if you have categories and a strategy to how you're breaking down what you're watching, it also becomes a bit easier to remember. So if you're thinking about story devices, narrative, the next time you watch something and you think, okay, this is a nice narrative story device, if you tell yourself that, the next time you're thinking about narrative story device, you'll think of that ad, you'll think of that story, you'll think of all these different things. And the more you work, the more you study, the better mental library you get. And the best part is, the better you also get at combining all the different ideas in your mental library. And that's what makes you the artist that you are. It's your ability, the stuff you've done, the stuff you know, and how you're combining them together to make new products and to make new stuff. And don't forget to always keep learning. So that's pretty much it, guys. Don't think there's another slide. No. That's all. Thanks so much for attending my stream. Let's see. Let's go here. No? Here. Yes, there we go. Cool. So yeah, that's it for this presentation stream. Thank you so much for checking out. We're not done yet. We'll just do some questions and then yeah, we can call it from there. So let's go through the chat and see. Dennis asked, oh, feel free to post your questions now, either in the group or here, preferably here because I'm literally looking at it right now. Thank you at LFX. Thanks. Glad you enjoyed that. So Dennis's questions were about in case anyone didn't missed it from somewhere in the middle, or you just skipped to the Q&A. Here is a question by Dennis. Ooh, since I'm not showing my screen, I can probably do this. So I'm looking at you. When does broadcasting in a YouTube change the budget? So earlier I talked about how you need to think about where the video is going, mainly based on budget, for balancing your budget. But yeah, and Dennis's question is, how does whether it's going to broadcast or YouTube affect the budget? And the story is, it's to consider the stuff you can get away with on YouTube and what you are allowed to do on broadcast. I think that would affect what you're allowed to do. That would affect the ideas that you're going to try and do as you're writing your script. Something else also I just realized is rights. If something is going on broadcast, the music and the voiceover some voiceover people actually charge differently based on where it's going. So you don't cheat anyone. You need to make sure everyone is paid fairly. Yeah. So rather, what do you do if your client doesn't have reference? That's in the video. Just try really hard to figure out what they want, figure out what idea they had before they called you up and asked you to do an animation. So comparisons, great summary. Does this apply for conclusive short stories too? I wouldn't say stories. I'd say it applies to ads. You could use this method for short stories in the sense of narration and just trying to get your ideas down. It's actually the same process, by the way. When you're doing a story, you write your ideas as talking points. You write the things you want to happen. You want someone to come into the scene, you want them to say this to this person, then this happens, this happens. So you'll do the same thing, and then as you're writing your script, you're trying to break down how each of these things are going to happen. On the group and on my sheets, I've done a few breakdowns, story breakdowns for a few movies: Zootopia, Robots, Incredibles. I've done a few more, at least those three. And it basically breaks down how those scenes were constructed and how they all tie together into different story methods. So I'll probably do. I think I'll just do its own sort of hangout because I also need to talk about how to understand those documents. I think they're a bit complicated. Um, yeah. So if I do get an opportunity to do it, I'll do it as its own hangout. Let me see. Maybe I can open one. Do you guys have any other questions? Maybe while I'm opening that. Ooh, I wanted to do Stardust. I liked that movie. Stardust and Wolfwalkers. I never finished Wolfwalkers. The breakdown, that is. Uh, I watched when I was watching it. I just got so fixated on what was happening that I completely forgot. Not forgot. Yeah, completely forgot to do the breakdown. And then the second time, I started noticing stuff like, "Oh, this is dope. How did they do that?" And then I kept rewinding. So yeah. Let's go to picture in picture. So this is the story breakdown. If you guys don't have any other questions, I can finish off on this. This is the story breakdown basically for Zootopia. The homepage is just some branding stuff and a breakdown of what's happening. And then we have the scene list. And the next tab is also just an about page that breaks down some of the information that's in the columns. So there's a 22-step column, there's a important dialogue column. This all just explains what that's about. So here's the scene list. Basically, it's a list of every single scene in the movie. Zootopia had 61. Oh, actually, you know what? The one I did for robots was really interesting. But anyway, let's just stick with this. Or I can do this. Let's see. If you drag the link, it should. I liked Robots because it was a comedy focused movie as opposed to Zootopia. Not that I'm gonna replace, we can still look at Zootopia. So there's a bunch of columns here. The help tab explains what everything is, but what you'll do is what we were doing like with talking points. They have every every scene is broken down in just what the scene is. If I was to watch a scene and say what the talking point for that scene was, this is what it would be. So when the movie starts, there is the whole play of Judy talking about how Zootopia works. So that's literally just one scene because it's just that, just her explaining. And we talk about how it ties into the structure of the story. It's the story world. It also explains Judy's desire. We have important dialogue, which is the first line of the movie is fear, treachery, and bloodlust. Is the first thing they say in the movie. And that's usually very important. The first thing they say in a movie, so we usually pay attention to that. That's there, and that's pretty much what happens for everything till the ending, where we have all the theme song playing at the end, and how everything wraps up, which is what's called the new equilibrium. And then, for robots was pretty interesting because it's the one movie which had gags. Like it would have an entire scene where it's just an animation to tell a joke and to make you laugh, and then the story moves on. And out of all the stuff I've done so far, I think this is the only one that does that. It has Robin Williams in it. Maybe that's a factor. Even if he's not part of the gag reels, he's probably part of only one. But yeah, they have a lot of these gag scenes, which are pretty interesting. So the links to these documents are actually in the group. I can repost them, and yeah, I will repost them. But check those out if you're gonna do some writing. I'll probably do its own hangout. Like as you can see, it's pretty complicated. There's a lot of information. Not really something I'd put together with this one. Yeah. So any last questions to wrap up before I call it? Yeah, feel free to post your questions. Oh, wait, there's one question. What's the best approach for handling revisions with the client? Best approach for handling revisions is the same thing I said with the reference. You want to try and make sure as much as possible that you understand where they're coming from with these changes and how it affects what you understand about their goals. And sometimes it's better to just call it out and be like, bruh, you've just restarted this whole project from all the stuff you're telling me. So I'd prefer if we just sat on this right now and really understood what's happening before we go any further and waste more time. Because even me as a professional, push, and try and get as clear a picture as you can out of them. And if they pull that card for you're the creative, you do it, then if they're coming back and being difficult later, that's now where you gotta be tough. Just gotta be tough. And tell them, no, I'm not doing another version. We just have to work on this as it is and try and fix it. And then hopefully next time this won't happen again. So yeah, Bill, hopefully that answers your question. Does anyone else have something? We have 1 minute left. Nope. Check the group. No questions. I guess we're good. Okay, so yeah, thanks so much for coming through for the stream and for the hangout for scripting for short animations. Keep an eye out on the group for more information on the next hangout, what we're gonna be talking about. And yeah, thanks again for coming through, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Bye, guys. I hope the audio was good. Oh man, I can't wait to watch this a few years from now. Oh, ooh, yeah. So, Mike is still hot. Scripting for short animations. Thanks for coming through, guys. If you're joining late, sorry. We just finished. Cool stuff. It's probably the delay.